What if the secret to success isn't chasing it at all, but turning your back on it and walking towards something far more powerful? Good evening. I want to talk with you tonight about one of the most misunderstood principles in all of human achievement. It's a principle that, once understood and applied, will change the entire direction of your life. And it's this: success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Now, let me explain what I mean. Most people spend their lives chasing success. They want the money, the recognition, the security. And there's nothing wrong with wanting those things. But here's the problem: they're looking at it backward. They're trying to get before they give. They're focused on what's in it for them, rather than what they can do for others. And as long as they stay in that mindset, success will always remain just out of reach. You see, success is a byproduct. It's the result of something else, something far more important. And that something is contribution. Think about it this way: the people who are truly successful, the ones who've built great businesses, who've made lasting impacts, who live lives of purpose and prosperity, they didn't start by asking, "How can I become successful?" They started by asking, "How can I help? What problem can I solve? What value can I create?" They focused on contribution, and success followed. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. "Earl, that sounds nice, but I've got bills to pay. I can't just give everything away and hope it works out." And you're right. I'm not suggesting you work for free or ignore your own needs. What I'm suggesting is that you change your focus. You shift your attention from getting to giving. From what's in it for me to what can I do for them? Because here's the truth: the market rewards value. Your income, your opportunities, your level of success, they're all determined by how much value you bring to the lives of others. Not by how hard you try. Not by how much you want it, but by how much you serve. Let me give you an example. Suppose you're in sales. Most salespeople go into a meeting thinking, "How can I close this deal? What can I say to get this person to buy?" And you can feel it, can't you? You can feel when someone is trying to sell you something. There's a resistance that goes up, a wall. But now imagine a different approach. Imagine walking into that same meeting with a different question. How can I help this person? What do they need? What problem are they facing that I might be able to solve? When you approach it that way, everything changes. You're no longer a salesperson, you're a problem solver. You're a contributor, and people respond to that. They trust it. They want to work with you. And that's when success happens. Not because you chased it, but because you earned it. Here's the central truth I want you to remember. The measure of a life is not what it accumulates, but what it contributes. That's it. That's the whole game. The more you contribute, the more you'll receive. Not because the universe owes you something, but because contribution creates value, and value attracts reward. Now, let's make this practical. How do you actually do this? How do you shift from a mindset of getting to a mindset of giving? First, you start where you are. You don't need a new job or a new opportunity. You need a new attitude. Whatever you're doing right now, your current work, your current relationships, your current responsibilities, you can do it with a spirit of contribution. You can ask yourself, how can I make this better? How can I serve more fully? How can I add value here? Second, you focus on excellence. Contribution isn't about doing the bare minimum. It's about doing your very best every single time. When you commit to excellence, when you take pride in your work and refuse to cut corners, you become someone people notice, someone they trust, someone they want to be around. Third, you look for needs. Everywhere you go, people have problems. They have frustrations, challenges, things they wish were better. If you train yourself to see those needs and then step in to help, you'll never run out of opportunities. You'll become indispensable. And fourth, you stop keeping score. This is important. When you contribute, you don't do it with strings attached. You don't do it thinking, okay, I helped them, now they owe me. You do it because it's the right thing to do, because it's who you are. And here's the beautiful part: when you stop keeping score, the returns come back to you tenfold. Not always from the people you helped, but from somewhere, from everywhere. Now, I want to address something else. Some people hear this message and they think, well, if I focus on others, I'll neglect myself. I'll be taken advantage of. I'll end up with nothing. But that's not what happens. In fact, the opposite is true. The more you give, the more you grow. Because contribution doesn't drain you, it builds you, it sharpens your skills. It deepens your character. It expands your influence. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop worrying about your own success is the moment you become truly successful. Because you're no longer distracted by fear or greed or comparison. You're focused on something real, something meaningful, and that focus gives you power. I've seen this principle work in my own life, and I've seen it work in the lives of countless others. The people who rise to the top in any field are the ones who serve. The teacher who goes the extra mile for a struggling student. The business owner who treats customers like family. The employee who solves problems without being asked. These are the people who get promoted, who get remembered, who build lives of lasting significance. Success is a byproduct, not a target. When you aim directly at it, you often miss. I've watched people for years, studied them really, and I've noticed something peculiar. The harder some people chase success, the faster it seems to run away from them. They work longer hours. They scheme and strategize. They lie awake at night worrying about when their big break will come. And yet, for all their effort, they stay exactly where they are, frustrated, exhausted, wondering what they're doing wrong. Meanwhile, there's another group of people, a much smaller group, who seem to attract success effortlessly. Not because they're smarter or luckier, but because they're doing something fundamentally different. And most people never figure out what that difference is. Now, before I tell you what it is, let me ask you something. Have you ever tried to catch a butterfly? Really tried. You see it there, beautiful and delicate, resting on a flower. You move slowly, carefully, reaching out your hand. And just as you're about to close your fingers around it, off it flies. The harder you chase it, the more impossible it becomes to catch. But here's what's interesting. If you stop chasing it, if you simply sit still, enjoy the garden, and focus on something else, sometimes that butterfly will land right on your shoulder, without any effort at all. Success works the same way. You see, success isn't a destination. It's not a thing you can grab hold of or lock in a vault. It's a result. It's what happens when you do other things right. When you aim directly at success, when you make it your target, you're actually aiming at a shadow. You're chasing something that has no substance of its own. Think about happiness for a moment. Have you ever noticed that the people who talk constantly about wanting to be happy are usually the most miserable? They're so focused on the feeling of happiness that they miss the things that actually create happiness, meaningful work, deep relationships, personal growth. They're looking for the effect while ignoring the cause. Success is the same way. It's the effect, not the cause. It's what shows up when you focus on something more fundamental: usefulness. When you make yourself valuable, when you solve real problems, when you serve others with excellence, that's when success appears. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. Here's the liberating truth. You don't have to chase success anymore. You don't have to worry about it, manipulate for it, or lose sleep over it. You simply have to ask yourself a different question. Not, how can I become successful? But, how can I become useful? How can I serve? What can I do today that will make someone else's life better? Answer that question every single day, and I promise you this success will take care of itself. It'll find you. It'll tap you on the shoulder when you're not even looking, because success doesn't come to those who chase it. It comes to those who deserve it. The market rewards value, not effort. Your income is determined by the service you render, not the hours you work. I want to tell you something that might upset you at first, something that goes against what most of us were taught growing up. But stay with me, because understanding this one principle could change everything about how you approach your work and your income. Here it is: nobody cares how hard you work. I know. You've been told your whole life that hard work is the key to success. That if you just put in the hours, if you give it everything you've got, you'll be rewarded. You've watched people work themselves to exhaustion. Maybe you've done it yourself, believing that effort alone would be enough. And then you look at your paycheck, or your bank account, or your position in life, and you wonder why the math doesn't add up. Why isn't it more? Why aren't you more? Now, let me be clear about something before we go any further. I'm not saying hard work doesn't matter. It does. But here's what most people misunderstand. Hard work is the price of entry. It's the minimum requirement. It's what gets you in the game. But it's not what wins the game. What wins the game is value. Let me explain what I mean. Imagine two workers. The first one digs ditches by hand, backbreaking work 10 hours a day under the hot sun. The second one operates an excavator and digs 10 times as many ditches in half the time. Now, who works harder? The first man without question. Who gets paid more? The second man, every single time. Why? Because the market doesn't pay for sweat. It pays for results. It pays for the value delivered, not the effort expended. Your income, right now, today, is a direct reflection of the value you bring to the marketplace. Not how tired you are at the end of the day. Not how many hours you logged. But how much difference you made. How many problems you solved. How many people you helped. This is actually wonderful news once you understand it. It means you're not trapped. You're not stuck earning what you're earning simply because you can't work any harder, because you're probably already working as hard as you can. What it means is that you need to work differently. You need to increase your value. And how do you do that? You develop skills. You learn. You improve the quality of what you do. You find better ways to serve. You stop thinking about the hours and start thinking about the impact. A doctor doesn't make more money than a dishwasher because he works harder. He makes more because he brings more value. He spent years developing specialized knowledge that saves lives. The market recognizes that value and compensates accordingly. So here's your freedom. You can increase your income anytime you choose, not by working longer, but by becoming more valuable, by learning something new, by mastering your craft, by serving at a higher level. Focus on increasing your value, and your income will follow. Not because life is fair, but because the market is honest. It pays for what it receives. Always has, always will. Contribution creates connection. When you focus on helping others, doors open that you never knew existed. Let me tell you about a problem that plagues more people than just about anything else. It's quiet. It's invisible. But it's absolutely devastating. Isolation. Not the kind where you're physically alone, though that happens too. I'm talking about the kind where you're surrounded by people, yet you feel completely disconnected, where opportunities seem to go to everyone else, where the right people never seem to notice you, where doors remain closed no matter how hard you knock. You send out resumes, nothing. You network at events, polite conversations that lead nowhere. You try to make things happen, to force your way forward, but it's like pushing against a wall that won't budge. And after a while, you start to wonder if maybe you're just not meant for the life you want. Maybe you don't have the right connections, the right background, the right luck. But here's what I need you to consider for just a moment. What if the reason those doors aren't opening isn't because you lack something, but because you're approaching them the wrong way? What if you've been knocking when you should have been giving? Stay with me here. Every meaningful connection you have in your life, every friendship, every opportunity, every open door, it didn't come from taking. It came from exchange. Someone gave something. Someone received something. Value moved between people, and in that movement, a bond was formed. Now here's the key. You can't force that bond. You can't manufacture it with clever words or manipulation. But you can create the conditions for it. And the condition is simple, genuine contribution. When you help someone, truly help them, with no strings attached, something remarkable happens. You stop being a stranger. You stop being just another person asking for something. You become someone who matters. Someone who made a difference, even if it was small. And that person remembers. They tell others. They think of you when opportunities arise. Not because they owe you, but because you demonstrated something rare and valuable. You cared about their success more than your own advancement. Let me give you a practical example. Suppose you're looking for a job in a new industry. You could send 100 resumes into the void, hoping someone notices. Or you could find someone in that industry and ask, "How can I help you? What project are you working on that I could contribute to? What problem could I solve, even for free, just to learn and add value?" Most people won't do that. It feels backward. It feels like you're giving away what you should be getting paid for. But here's what happens when you contribute first. You build trust. You demonstrate competence. You create a relationship. And relationships are what open doors. The opportunities you're looking for aren't hidden behind locked gates. They're held in the hands of people, real people who are looking for others they can trust, who add value, who make their lives better. So stop knocking on doors. Start helping the people on the other side of them. Contribute first, serve first, give first. And watch how quickly those doors swing wide open, not because you demanded entry, but because someone invited you in. Self-concern is the enemy of achievement. The moment you stop thinking about what you'll get and start thinking about what you'll give, everything changes. There's a trap that catches almost everyone at some point. You might be caught in it right now, and you don't even realize it. It starts innocently enough. You wake up thinking about your problems, your bills, your goals, what you need to accomplish today, what you need to get ahead, what you deserve but haven't received yet. Your mind circles around one central question: what about me? And as the days turn into weeks, and the weeks into months, something strange happens. The harder you focus on yourself, on your own needs, your own advancement, your own success, the more stuck you become. Opportunities dry up, people seem less interested in helping you. Progress slows to a crawl, and you can't figure out why, because you're working so hard, wanting it so badly, trying so desperately to make something happen. What you don't realize is that you've become trapped in your own orbit, and nobody wants to enter a world where they're just a supporting character in someone else's story. Now, I want you to think about something for a moment. Really think about it. When was the last time you had a truly great conversation? The kind that left you energized, inspired, feeling better about life. I'll bet anything it was with someone who was genuinely interested in you. Someone who asked questions and actually listened. Someone who wasn't just waiting for their turn to talk about themselves. And conversely, when was the last time you couldn't wait to get away from someone? I'll bet it was someone who talked endlessly about themselves, their problems, their achievements, their opinions, with little interest in anything you had to say. We all instinctively know this about human nature. We're drawn to people who are interested in us, and we avoid people who are only interested in themselves. Yet somehow, when it comes to our own behavior, we forget this fundamental truth. Here's what I've learned after years of observing successful people. The ones who achieve the most are the ones who think about themselves the least. Not because they don't have goals or ambition, they absolutely do, but because they've discovered something transformative. When you focus outward instead of inward, you tap into a power you never knew you had. Think of it like this. A light bulb turned inward produces no illumination, it just generates heat. But when that same light faces outward, it lights up an entire room. Your talents, your energy, your focus, they work the same way. The moment you stop obsessing over what you're going to get and start focusing on what you can give, everything shifts. Your anxiety about success melts away because you're too busy being useful to worry about it. Your relationships deepen because people finally feel seen by you. Opportunities multiply because you're solving problems instead of asking for favors. Self-concern is like quicksand. The more you struggle with it, the deeper you sink. But contribution is solid ground. So here's your way out. Take your eyes off yourself. Look at the people around you. See their needs. Serve them genuinely. Watch how quickly your own life transforms, not because you stopped caring about yourself, but because you finally started caring about something bigger. Service is the rent we pay for living. It's not a burden, it's the path to meaning and fulfillment. I want to talk to you about something that troubles a lot of people, especially in quiet moments when they're alone with their thoughts. Emptiness. Not the kind that comes from lacking things, though we often confuse the two. I'm talking about that gnawing sense that something essential is missing. You might have a good job, a comfortable home, all the basics covered. But there's this feeling that life is somehow hollow, that you're going through the motions without any real purpose. That when it's all said and done, what will you have really mattered for? Some people try to fill that emptiness with things: a bigger house, a nicer car, the latest gadgets. And for a moment, just a brief moment, it works. There's a thrill, a sense of accomplishment. But then the feeling returns, sometimes even stronger than before. And they realize, deep down, that no amount of Zoller having will ever satisfy what's really missing. Others simply accept it. They tell themselves, this is just how life is. You work, you pay bills, you get through the week, and then you do it again. And they resign themselves to quiet desperation, never quite understanding what went wrong. But let me tell you something important. That emptiness you feel, it's not a flaw. It's not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's actually a signal. It's your soul's way of telling you that you were built for more than just consumption, more than just taking up space. More than just existing. You were built to matter. And here's the beautiful truth. You already know how to fill that emptiness. You've felt it before, those rare moments when you helped someone and it actually meant something. When you solved a problem for a colleague. When you taught your child something valuable. When you volunteered your time and saw the real difference it made. In those moments, didn't you feel alive? Didn't you feel like you were finally doing what you were put here to do? That's not coincidence. That's your design. Human beings aren't made to just receive, we're made to give. We're made to contribute, to serve, to leave things better than we found them. And here's what most people miss. Service isn't some noble sacrifice you make at the expense of your own happiness. It's not about martyring yourself or putting everyone else first while you suffer. Service is actually the source of fulfillment. It's what makes life meaningful. Think about the happiest people you know. I mean truly happy, not just entertained or distracted, but deeply satisfied with their lives. I'll bet they're people who serve others in some significant way. Teachers who shape young minds, doctors who heal the sick, parents who pour themselves into their children, business owners who genuinely care about their customers. They've discovered what you're searching for. You don't find meaning by looking for it. You find it by creating it through service, through contribution, through making yourself useful to others. So if you're feeling that emptiness, don't try to fill it with more stuff. Don't try to distract yourself from it. Listen to it. It's telling you something important. It's time to serve. Find someone to help. Find a problem to solve. Find a way to make yourself useful. That's not a burden. That's your purpose. And the moment you step into it, that emptiness disappears, replaced by something far more valuable, a life that actually means something. Your worth increases when you make others better. The more lives you touch, the more valuable you become. Here's something that keeps a lot of people awake at night, though they rarely say it out loud. The fear of being replaceable. You see it everywhere. People grinding away at jobs where they feel invisible, where they could be gone tomorrow and the world would barely notice. Where they're just another cog in the machine, easily swapped out for someone younger, cheaper, or more qualified. And that fear runs deep. It whispers terrible things in the quiet hours. You're not special. You're not essential. You're falling behind, and eventually they'll figure out they don't really need you. So people try to protect themselves. They hoard information. They avoid helping competitors. They keep their best ideas to themselves, thinking that scarcity will make them valuable. If I teach them what I know, they think, then what do I have left? Why would anyone need me? And here's the tragedy: in trying to protect their value, they actually destroy it. Now, let me ask you something that might seem strange at first. Think about the most valuable people you know. The ones everyone wants on their team. The ones who get called first when there's an important project. The ones who seem to have endless opportunities. What do they all have in common? I'll tell you what they have in common. They make everyone around them better. They're not valuable because they keep secrets or guard their knowledge. They're valuable because they multiply. They raise the level of every room they enter. They teach. They mentor. They share. They lift others up. And paradoxically, the more they give away, the more valuable they become. Let me explain why this works. When you make someone else better, when you teach them something valuable, when you help them solve a problem, when you contribute to their growth, you're doing something profound. You're not diminishing yourself. You're expanding yourself. You're extending your influence beyond your own two hands. Think about a teacher who touches 100 students. Those students go out and do great things, and they remember who helped them get there. That teacher's value doesn't stop at the classroom door. It multiplies across 100 different lives and careers. Think about a manager who develops her team instead of taking credit for their work. Those team members become leaders themselves, and they carry her lessons forward. Her influence grows exponentially. Think about a mentor who freely shares his knowledge. The people he helps don't replace him. They become his greatest advocates. They open doors for him. They refer opportunities to him. They sing his praises to anyone who listens. You see, here's the truth: you don't become valuable by holding back. You become valuable by pouring out, by making other people successful, by leaving everyone you encounter a little better than you found them. And the beautiful thing is, you can start doing this today, right where you are. You don't need permission. You don't need a special title. You just need to look for chances to help someone else succeed. Teach the new employee. Share credit for victories. Recommend someone else for an opportunity they're better suited for. Celebrate others' wins as loudly as your own. Make others better, and your own value will soar, not because you demanded recognition, but because you became irreplaceable by making everyone around you more capable. That's not just security. That's significance. Success follows the useful. Be indispensable in your contribution, and you'll never have to worry about success again. Let me tell you about a worry that eats at people more than almost anything else in their working lives. Job security, financial stability, the gnawing uncertainty of not knowing if you'll be okay next year, next month, or even next week. You watch the news and hear about layoffs, downsizing, automation, industries vanishing overnight. You see people with decades of experience suddenly scrambling to find work. And you wonder, could that be me? Am I safe? What happens if they don't need me anymore? So you try to play it safe. Keep your head down. Don't make waves. Hope that loyalty and longevity will protect you. Maybe you've been with the same company for years, thinking that tenure alone will shield you when times get tough. Or maybe you're constantly anxious, updating your resume every few months, always looking over your shoulder. But here's what I need you to understand. Hoping for security and actually having it are two entirely different things. Now, I want you to think about something for just a moment and be honest with yourself. If you disappeared from your job tomorrow, how long would it take before things started falling apart? Would critical projects stall? Would customers complain? Would your boss panic? Or would someone else simply step into your role and the machine would keep running as if you'd never been there at all? That answer, the honest answer, tells you everything about your real security. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. You're not secure because you've been there a long time. You're not secure because you're a nice person or because you show up on time. You're only as secure as you are useful, as indispensable as you make yourself through the value you deliver. And here's the good news, the truly liberating news. That's completely within your control. Think about the people who never worry about security. I'm not talking about the independently wealthy. I'm talking about the professionals who always land on their feet. The ones who get headhunted. The ones who have opportunities coming to them instead of chasing after them. What do they have that others don't? They've made themselves indispensable. Not in one narrow way, but in their ability to solve problems that matter. They've developed skills that are genuinely valuable. They deliver results that people actually need. They don't just fill a position, they make things better. And here's what happens when you become that person. You stop worrying about success. You stop losing sleep over job security. Because you know, deep in your bones, that as long as you remain useful, as long as you keep delivering real value, the world will find a way to reward you. The market always needs problem solvers. The businesses always need people who make things work. People always need someone who can help them get from where they are to where they want to be. So here's your path to unshakable security. Stop worrying about being safe and start focusing on being useful. Stop protecting your position and start expanding your capabilities. Stop doing just enough to get by and start delivering so much value that you become irreplaceable. Learn new skills. Solve problems nobody asked you to solve. Anticipate needs before they become crises. Make yourself the person everyone thinks of when something important needs to get done. Do that consistently, excellently, relentlessly, and you'll never have to chase success again. It'll follow you everywhere you go, because useful people are never out of work for long. They're too valuable. That's not just security, that's freedom. So tonight, I want to leave you with a challenge, a call to action. Starting tomorrow morning, I want you to wake up with one question on your mind. Who can I help today? Not what can I get, and how can I get ahead, but who can I serve? What can I give? And then I want you to do it. I want you to look for one person, just one, who needs your help, your kindness, your expertise, your encouragement. And I want you to give it freely, fully, without expectation. Do that tomorrow, and then do it again the next day. And the day after that. Make it a habit. Make it your way of life. Because here's what will happen. As you focus on contribution, you'll stop feeling anxious about success. You'll stop comparing yourself to others. You'll stop feeling like you're not enough. Because you'll be too busy being enough. Too busy making a difference. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, you'll look around and realize something success found you, not because you chased it, but because you built a life worth rewarding. So go out there, serve, contribute, give your very best to the world, and trust that success, in its own time and in its own way, will follow. This is Earl Nightingale. Until next time, remember, you become what you think about. So think about how you can serve and watch your life transform. Good night.